Hey everybody, it's Chris with Drop Dice. First off, I have to apologize. This video is basically about. Hold on a sec, my computer is acting weird. There we go. This video is basically talking about my computer acting weird, actually. So recently, my channel has been dark for about almost 2 weeks now. 2 weeks, probably about that. And that's actually because my computer has been having some issues with YouTube. I don't know why. It wasn't letting me upload videos. And when I attempted to do a Hangout last week, it actually wouldn't even transfer over to my YouTube channel. So I had to do some adjusting of different programs and stuff like that on my computer. And I found a couple things that needed to be taken care of as far as like malware and things like that are concerned. So now my system is back up and running. Unfortunately, it hasn't been very optimal for broadcasting lately, but now I'm back to where I can actually continue doing broadcasts. So this video is just kind of to update what has been going on since you guys last saw me, which would have been the Legend of the Five Rings game that we did, not this Sunday, but the previous Sunday. Due to some computer issues and some real-life issues, we had to put off the Legend of the Five Rings game that would have been last Sunday to this Sunday, so my viewers are not going to miss anything. There will be Legend of the Five Rings Part 2 will be coming up this Sunday. As far as some other stuff that's going on in the community, since I haven't had much of a chance to kind of talk about things going on in the community, I wanted to mention one of the groups that I administer on Facebook, the Copper Jackals group, has started kicking off their one-shot adventures, which are on a bunch of different channels on YouTube. Tim and James over at Tabletop Tears, they're the ones who kind of have made this world, but it's actually kind of a community effort, and GMs within the community are being encouraged to go ahead and run their own games. And so with that, we're seeing a lot of people that maybe have not done YouTube content before or have done very limited content. They're coming forward because we have this community world in mind, which I'm really glad to see that Tim and James were able to pull it off. That's kind of where I'm going with the Flood world, is I want to make a world that the community can use, abuse, change, shape, however they want. And it's good to see that these guys are kind of on top of it. And my praise for Tabletop Tears is going to kind of continue through this video. So as some of you know, I've done some reviews with Tabletop Tears. They've talked to me about helping out with Copper Jackals game, so I'm an administrator with that group. And just recently, they actually asked me to help do some editing work on one of their upcoming publications, or actually it is out now. I believe on the channel I may have previously mentioned this, but essentially I've been working with them to kind of come up with some new content and things like that they're putting out, and they're kind of a new publisher, and it's kind of the two of them and a couple of friends around the community that are kind of helping them out with kind of getting the editing process done. So if you want to get in and help out like a small press that is quite literally really small press at this point, Tabletop Tears has actually got their new book, which is called the Trapsmiths of Dragongrin, which is kind of like that book we talked about last time, the Tieflings of Dragongrin. It's the same world, but again, the material inside there is meant to be generic so that you can pull it out and use it in any game. Now, I helped with 3 of the traps that are inside there, and it's a little 28-page splat book talking about different types of traps and the trap makers, which I think is kind of nice to see. And during the process, there's 5 different traps that are inside the book with different variations, and one of my favorite is actually, I'll give you guys a little bit of a spoiler on this one. One of my favorites is the one that they had me edit first, and it started off as kind of just an interesting trap, and then it became something I really liked the more I thought about it. Essentially, it's a room that when they approach, it's kind of a teamwork puzzle that requires multiple people to kind of come across the problem. But the cool thing is the way that this trap is designed, which I won't ruin for anybody who's watching this in case a GM decides to use this in their game, as far as what the trap does and what its trigger is. But I will say that it's a trap that involves multiple possibilities happening, and when you read the book, you'll know what I'm talking about. Different damage types, different save types are involved in it, and there are multiple ways to disarm it, which I was talking to Tim about it, and I said, you know, this is something I personally do, and I like to see it in games, and I was really glad to see it was kind of adopted into the book. is that occasionally have a way that somebody who is not the rogue have a chance to be able to use their skills to shine to prevent this trap, because occasionally you'll end up with a group that nobody wants to be the rogue. So if it's a magic trap, maybe we could do like some knowledge arcana or something like that. By the way, that's the new puppy who's also been part of the problems with my computer lately. And then the older one, Lily. Yeah, they're kind of a mess. They kind of started a lot of this computer issues, at least as far as the cables were concerned. So the reason I like that trap is simply because it involves more than just one person. And if you see the video that they've got that goes with this book, it'll kind of talk about it a little bit more. When I finish up with this video, I'm going to include it as a link in the comments below here. Or not the comments, but in the description of the video here. But basically, it's a pay what you want, so you feel free to go check it out. And like I said, support small press. These guys are really working hard to put together good splat book type content right now. And I most of you that know me know that I have a ton of RPG books and stuff like that. And I'm glad to see how they're going about doing it. And I don't have anything to do with them as far as making money or anything is concerned right now. It's just kind of me helping out a friend. So, I mean, if you do check it out, awesome. If you don't check it out, I won't get hurt because it's not like I'm getting paid for it or anything. But this is kind of a product that I honestly believe in. If you do check it out and you haven't checked out the Tieflings book, at least download one of them and check them out, because honestly, they put together a really well-designed product, and I think it's worth saying from a design standpoint, because that's what my degree originally was in for art and things like that. That from a design aspect, they come up with a really solid product that looks like it would have been done by a major publisher. So it is nice to see that come from a small press. They have a good format. It's easy to read. It's structured very well. And so, I mean, for a book that you can pretty much get as a pay what you want, I think it's a steal, basically. So I would definitely check out one or even both of those books. And when you get done with it, go ahead and talk to Tim and James. They're on Facebook, and if not, you can check out their videos. And you can leave them comments. They're pretty awesome guys. They'll get right back to you. I haven't had any problems whatsoever talking to those guys. So, I mean, if you see something inside there that's like, oh, this trap is really awesome, but I thought about changing it this way, you definitely can. And one of the other traps that's in there that's really cool is that they talk about inside their video, so this isn't going to spoil anything either, is basically make your traps a little bit different. Like, take an aspect from a monster and just use the special quality that the monster has. You don't need the stats or anything. So, like, let's say inside their video they mentioned the cockatrice having the stone vision, or the stone gaze. You could basically make a trap that is like, a statue guardian, and it's got like ruby eyes. And if they trigger the trap, the ruby eyes are going to look down at the person who stepped on the pressure plate, and it's going to turn them to stone, or something like that. I thought that was a really solid piece of advice. It's something that I think a lot of GMs have kind of winged before, but to spell it out in such simple terms that is literally find the monster quality you want, use it exactly as it is from the book, and make sure the challenge rating is fairly close to the party, because they should be okay with it. I think spelling it out like that really helped out with GMs that maybe aren't so experienced. So I think that that video and that book together will really help out. And I think it's really cool because personally I don't like riddles. I like traps in my games. So to see a book about traps, trap smithing, trap makers, and the history behind it, to me is a really cool thing. So definitely check them out. The other person I wanted to mention in this video, since I haven't done community videos in a little while, is excuse me, I'm just pulling it up right now, is Jonathan Miles. From his channel is, let me pull it real quick here, Out of Character on YouTube here. And there we go. He just recently did a video which is actually part of a bigger series. It's called How to Use Political Points of Interest in Your Game. Again, I am going to put a link to that in the description of this video below. But I wanted to point him out. I don't know if he's got like, his channel's actually pretty small right now. He's got 27 subscribers, and I'd like to take some of my subscribers that I know check out my videos regularly and kind of encourage you guys to go check out his content. Because Jonathan is is actually really well spoken, and I think that's one of my favorite things. I've seen a couple of his videos now. Is when he comes on, he's very well thought out. He's got better gear than I do, so he's got like the nice mic and everything. But I think he's a pretty awesome guy to listen to. He's very informative, which I like, because what he'll do is kind of like when I'm talking about something about the world building process. If I think it's something that maybe isn't common knowledge, I'll just take a minute to explain it. He does that, and he probably does it a little bit more regularly than me, and he does it in a way that it's not like any sort of condescending or anything like that. So it's not gonna kill you if he talks about a subject that you already kind of understand. He kind of hits the bullet points and then moves on, which I think is really solid. His latest video, that interest in political points, I love political games, and I've talked about that before. I think his video does a very good job of actually defining in basic terms how to set up a political game, and basically start with a seed and how it kind of stretches out and gets its roots in everything. Like, he gives a scenario where he drops a couple Easter eggs to other RPG YouTubers that are online, which you'll see inside the video with stuff like Click Ridge and Kernington, and I forget the city names, but they all the cities are based off of like other RPGers on YouTube. Which is really funny for us, just kind of looking over it. Like, if you look at the names, yeah, Click Ridge, Kearneyville, Barkton, and Schism, I believe is what the other one is. I may be saying that wrong, but I just want to mention him because, like I said, I'd like to send some of my viewers over to his channel, because I think you guys would really like his content, because you guys are enjoying some of my content. I think having a similar guy out there that maybe does things a little bit differently than I do will definitely help you. It's just like any of the other videos that I talk about. Make sure that you see other people's content, because it will only help improve you. As far as my personal games go, I just recently got involved in a Dragon Ball Z D10 system by the Cream Rises Publishing, or the Cream Publishing, I think it is, the Cream Publishing. It's a really fun game. I'm not super strong in Dragon Ball Z, but my GM is, and I'm playing a human that has some Saiyan lineage in his background, but he hasn't figured it out yet. But statistically, for the book, we're just human. I'm just adding that as flavor to kind of help explain why he is the way he is personality-wise. We've got an Arcosian in our group, which, if you've seen the show and don't know what an Arcosian is, it's Frieza's clan. Well, there's a whole planet of them. He happens to be from a different clan than Frieza. We've got a Saiyan, actually two Saiyans, I think. It's been a little while since we played, because we did the first game and the second game, and then we've had to take a couple times off just because people have been sick with bronchitis and all sorts of weird stuff going on. So we've taken a little bit of a break. But when that game picks up again, I may do some recaps about that game, because to me that's a really fun beer and pretzels game. Like I said, I don't really know a whole lot about Dragon Ball Z, and we're not really sticking super strictly to canon. Like, we're keeping the fun stuff, like the naming conventions and stuff. Like, my character happens to be named after a sweet, like fruit pastry thing. And so we're definitely keeping kind of the spirit of Dragon Ball Z and having a lot of fun with it, which is what I think you should do with a lot of games. Is if you play a game that's in a canon universe, keep it to the spirit of the game, but don't necessarily bog yourself down by all the nitty-gritty behind it. I also do a Shadowrun game. You guys have kind of heard about that. I play a overpowered troll that is or actually it's a Minotaur, which is a sub-race of troll. It's basically a giant wall that wields a bow and does not necessarily fit in with the typical Shadowrun group. We've gotten ourselves in a little bit of hot water, and we're trying to get ourselves out of it right now. We rescued another Shadowrun group that kind of got themselves in a bit of trouble, and by doing so, we got ourselves in trouble in the process. But that's kind of the way things go in Shadowrun. As far as Legend of the Five Rings goes, like I said, we took last week off. We're going to start again this week, and that should be a regular weekly game, barring any sort of health-related issues. That's really what became a problem this week. There was actually some work conflicts. My player Nate, one of his employees, got real sick and couldn't couldn't go to work, so we were originally going to play on Monday, but that just didn't work out, and then we tried Tuesday and it didn't work out, and so I said, okay, we'll just wait till Sunday since I'm having these computer issues anyways. And so Sunday we're going to pick that up again. Saturday I will bring forward another community video. And the other thing I wanted to talk about was Titan's Grave, or the Fantasy Age system in general, I should say. Titan's Grave, I don't know how to feel about it. I really like the concept of the world. I don't know that I necessarily like the style of play that's being presented in those videos. I think the world has a lot to offer. I think it's kind of a cool thing that he's put together. I'm down with beer and pretzel games. I don't know. There goes my headset again. I don't know. It's just not clicking with me 100% just yet. I was really happy to see that the things that I talked about in the first video started coming true, like the players picking out their own stunts in the later video and seeing the game mechanics as it goes. To me, it just felt a little bit more trundly or a little bit slower than Dragon Age was when Will Wheaton first presented it. I'm still really excited by it. I originally was kind of going back and forth on whether or not I kind of liked the system or not, but I read an article today that was put out by Green Ronin Publishing, which is on their website, that talks about the difference between Dragon Age and New Fantasy Age system. And they changed around some stats, and they did some things that I actually kind of like. Like normally if you have a game like D&D, you have your main attribute stats, and inevitably one of those stats becomes really important for a specific reason or multiple reasons. Like the best example I have is 3rd edition and Pathfinder 3.5, 3X is what it's typically called, all of those books together. So the big problem was dexterity was considered the king of stats. Basically, if you had dexterity, you had dexterity, reflex saves, about half the skills. It went to your defense. If you feeded correctly, it could go to your attack, and then if you feeded correctly again, it could go to your damage. If you took the right kind of classes, you could apply dexterity to other things that are out there as well. So it made dexterity the super stat. In Dragon Age, if you play a rogue, dexterity is kind of a super stat in that game too. Which the article admits and they talk about inside there. So what they did is they kind of broke it up, and there's a difference now in stats between strength and your fighting capability, which allows you to explain characters that aren't inherently strong but are skilled in fighting, or characters that aren't inherently dexterous but still pretty good at ranged combat. For example, like I would consider like Chewbacca. Chewbacca would be kind of a fun example here. I would consider him to be someone who, if you look at the show, or the movies and stuff like that, when Chewbacca's present, he doesn't appear to be above average in dexterity, but he does seem to have some skill with some ranged weapons. Especially in the extended universe, you see him use a bowcaster a couple times, and he does seem to have some skill with it. So maybe he happens to have a little bit higher accuracy but average dexterity. But then when you see him fight, he proves to be very strong and very good at hand-to-hand combat, albeit he uses very simple tactics, like mainly slam attacks and things like that. That's a whole different story. He just seems to be a very skilled melee combatant. So what he may be is like high strength, high fighting, average dexterity, and maybe just a little bit above average accuracy. And I think that's a really neat way to do it. I haven't played it yet, so I don't have any real solid opinions on it. It's not even out for pre-order yet, but I look forward to it. It'll probably be the next system that I pick up to try. Another update is Souls of Steel. I've been asked when the next time I'm going to do Souls of Steel is, and unfortunately the answer is I'm not entirely certain. I've got some summer classes going right now. I'm doing Anatomy Physiology 2, and the next semester I do Microbiology, which are kind of eating up a lot of my time, and I have to apply for the nursing program soon. So, unfortunately, real life has me bogged down to where I'm kind of limiting my time to what I can do and still maintain my dating life, my school life, and my game life without necessarily crashing everything down on my head. Other than that, the other thing that has been catching my attention lately is there's a video game that was on sale with Steam during the Steam sale, which I tried to avoid like the plague and failed miserably. Called Ark Survival Evolved. I'm playing that right now, which is super cool. It kind of reminds me of shoot, what's that game called? Monster Hunter. It kind of feels like Monster Hunter had a baby with Jurassic Park. You wash up on a shore with no real explanation, and there's dinosaurs around you, and you have to build for survival. It's a really awesome game, to be honest, but it's best if you have friends involved, which is part of the reason I'm throwing this out here. If you have Ark Survival Evolved and you'd like to join me on a unofficial server, because we like things like having the crosshair on the screen and having your location marked on the map to make it a little easier for you. The dinosaurs on that server are a little stronger, so fair warning there if you've played on the official servers. Our server is a little bit stronger. There is a server out there called Dino Island 7, which I'll also put in the description because I hope you join me. On Dino Island 7 is where myself and my friend Murdoch, who you guys have seen inside the video, are playing, and Jeremy, also inside the L5R video. We have been playing, and we've got a little guild set up in the southern portion of the island that you awaken on. If you do decide to join us, shoot me a message. I go under the handle of nuRegret. That's my Steam name and my character name, and pretty much any time you see a nuRegret in any games, Xbox, PlayStation, otherwise, it's probably going to be me. That's what I typically use. Right now, all I've got is Steam, so if you do happen to see me online on anything, if you want to comment, send me a friend request, or whatever, go ahead and do that. I'm going to drop my Steam ID inside the description as well. That is pretty much it for updates. Once I get a chance, I will probably do, like I said, Saturday, a community video. I think I may have another video that I'm going to throw up because I feel bad that my computer hasn't been working very well with YouTube, where I'll probably do like a random thoughts type video and talk about what my opinions are on something. I'll have to think it over. I've also received some questions about Power Rangers, or at least the Super Sentai inspired RPG that I'll be doing. The short answer is I am still waiting for Blades in the Dark. I want to see that game in its complete set before I necessarily start fleshing out everything in mechanics. If that doesn't work, I may end up doing like an Apocalypse World hack, but I really think Blades in the Dark is going to work the best. With that being said, that's all I've got for you guys right now. Thank you for tuning in, your patience, and understanding while I try and get my computer running. I'm hoping that towards the end of this year, I'm going to get some computer upgrades, which is going to improve my video quality and things like that. For those of you that saw the L5R video, I know that there were some comments about the video being frozen during it. That, unfortunately, was a problem with YouTube, and I was able to get that one video up, but after that, it wasn't really taking any of my videos. I kept getting to 95% of the publication, and then it would stop right there, and I just couldn't get anything on there. But it looks like my Hangouts is working. I'm going to check the channel afterward, and we'll see if everything works out. Again, guys, thanks for tuning in, hearing about these updates, and I will see you on the next video. And I'll see you at the gaming table, of course.